Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live. We're here with two record holders from the 4-day event called the SCAR Swim Challenge. Welcome, Ned Denison and Michael Rice.
Thank
Hi
you.
there.
Hi. And Ned, you're from your traditional abode of in Cork, Ireland, correct?
I am indeed.
And Michael, you're calling in from?
Golden, Colorado.
Okay, great. So SCAR, it's a 4-day event, 4 swims of various lengths in one of the most beautiful places that marathon swimmers love and other vacationers in the desert of Arizona. Ned, what brought you to the desert of Arizona?
So I had a great 2012. I swam Catalina in a very quick time. I got inducted to the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame as I came out of the water, essentially, and then went off to False Bay. For 2013, I was set with Gibraltar and Jersey to France, and I signed up for one of these weird swims in a pool in England where you do a mile every hour for 24 hours. And Barbara Held, Triple Crown swimmer, gave me a call and she said, "I'm going to this swim in Arizona. You should come. My kayaker's got a car. We'll pick you up at the airport. We'll arrange accommodation. Just say yes." I said, fine. And unfortunately, I hadn't kind of figured it all out that I did the swim in England on the, Friday night to Saturday night, and then got on a plane some hours later and flew off to SCAR, which really probably wasn't the best preparation for this thing.
Oh, wow. Wow. And Michael, what brought you to Arizona?
My story is not as exciting. I started training last summer with Sarah Thomas, and she kind of convinced me to do it. It was my first open water event since like 2004. So she's very convincing.
God. Now, when you train with Sarah Thomas, the most unbelievable marathon swimmer out there, are you the rabbit? Are you trailing behind her? Are you going stroke for stroke? Are you doing half of what she's doing? What is it training with Sarah?
We've been doing mostly training in the pool right now, just because the lakes have been frozen in Colorado, but we're starting back in the lakes now. But she's fast. She can keep up for sure.
Yeah. Oh, we don't, Ned, you have to admit, after all of these WOWSA Live interviews, we have very few people who say, yeah, Sarah can keep up with me. Yeah.
Well, those are pool sets that take place in less than a full day, Steve.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
2-hour session.
Yeah. All right. So we have SCAR. It's an acronym that stands for the first letter of the 4 lakes. We have no idea how to properly pronounce the lake that begins with S, but we're going to give Michael a shot at pronouncing it.
Okay. I believe it is Saguaro.
Okay. And the second is C for canyon. And the third, A for Apache. And the last one, R for Roosevelt. Now, Ned, you know Kent very well. In fact, we did a WOWSA Live interview with him last year. Can you put these venues, these 4 venues, in their proper context, where they are in the world, the water temperature, beauty, et cetera?
So they're in the general vicinity of Phoenix, and it's an old creek called the Salt Creek. And they, in their engineering wisdom, they put a number of dams on it, flooded it to create these lakes. And during the daytime, they run hydropower. And at night, they use inexpensive nuclear power to pump water back up at the lakes. So it's quite fascinating. And Kent, he used these lakes as his training prior to doing the Triple Crown. And after doing that, Kent's a very giving guy, he wanted to give back to the sport. He started this event. The first year was just a couple, 3 people. And I came the second year, which is probably the first proper year they had it. Kent still had a few teething problems. And now it's been an annual event. And the challenge is, 4 marathons in 4 days.
Yeah. And Michael, in between these events, you sort of like all move in a caravan, correct? From the finish of one to the start of the next?
That's correct. Yes. But I had my family and my 2 little ones with me. So it made those drives a little bit challenging.
Is the distance far? I mean, are we talking about 8 hours or 30 minutes to get in between?
It's mostly pretty quick. It's mostly about 30 minutes or so. But this year, there's a dirt road that connects canyon to Apache, and part of it was closed. So we had to go all the way around this year. So that one was about 2.5 hours.
Okay. Oh, so you do these marathon swims, you get in the car, you pack the two little ones, you drive 2.5 hours, then you have to re-prepare for the next lake. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that
Luckily, my wife is absolutely amazing, and she did most of the work with the kids.
You left out the part of stagger over to the massage table after the swim, cry through a massage, and then get in the car, Steve.
okay.
I did not get that opportunity.
Bad planning, Michael. Bad planning.
Now, when we first introduced this swim, you mentioned two people, Barbara Held and Sarah Thomas. I mean, those are two unbelievable athletes, and you two are that. Is this like a gathering of the who's who of the marathon swimmers, Ned?
For my year, it was, Steve. To put it into context, I got to swim at least at the first part of the swim with Grace Vanderblay, who had the only faster time in Catalina than me the year before. I kind of hated her before I really met her, love her. And then I got to swim with Liz Fry, David Barra, and Sarah Thomas, who later I got to telephone and welcomed them into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. There were Ocean 7 swimmers, and almost all of the swimmers there I had heard of, and a lot of the swimmers were also involved as organizers. So in that second year, when Kent had a few organizational issues, we were all fine. You know, he's kind of like, you know, been there, seen that, done that. And I think since then he's he runs a much tighter ship.
Got it. And Michael, you had mentioned earlier that you had been out of the sport for many years. You got back into the sport, and who are some of the people you knew or didn't know, or a Facebook friend, or you didn't know at all at this year's event?
So yeah, going into the event, I only knew Sarah Thomas, who was there, and everyone else I met. And that was quite the experience, though, because it is kind of a gathering of some of the best marathon swimmers, and they're all really nice people. So it's really nice just to get to know everybody and kind of see what they're about. But I made some great friends at the event, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah,
Steve, it changed the way I look at events. SCAR for me was all about having breakfast and dinner with different people every day. And now when I look for swims, I don't look for a swim where you fly in, swim, and fly out. I look for a swim that has a social aspect. I want to get to know some people. And it changed the way I looked at the sport.
Yeah.
It was a little bit challenging this year because even like some of the restaurants like at Apache were, they're closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it wasn't quite as social as previous years, I believe. But it was still quite social.
Got it. And then you get there, obviously, Michael, you're going with a wife and two kids. What about kayakers? What about escort boats? Are they flying in? Are they docked at these start and finish? What's the story there on the organization side?
So Kent does a phenomenal job, and he arranges all the kayakers, or all the kayaks, sorry. And then I brought my own kayaker from Colorado, my mom, Gail. So she flew out and kayaked for me, and then my wife kayaked for me on the last day.
Got it. Michael, is your mother a swimmer, a former swimmer?
Yes. Yeah, she has a quite extensive open water career that she had back in early 2000s, 1990s.
Yeah, you said my mother, Gail. I was like, whoa, that's a famous rice if I've ever. Oh, give her my best. That's
I will.
Yeah. And then Ned, what is the strategy? And we've got a 15K swim, then we got a 14K swim, then we got a 27K swim, then we got a night swim. You don't go all out in the beginning, correct?
So I don't know anything about strategy, Steve. I had some conversations by email with Grace, and she was telling me to buy like compression tights and compression tops and stuff. So I did all this stuff, and then they don't feel right on me, so I threw them away. And she manages her diet with all sorts of stuff that I'd never heard of and seen. So I just kind of ignored all that eventually. And in the first swim, I just kind of started really slow. And then I noticed I was passing people. And then when I got to the first boat, I was the first guy in. and that was interesting. Greg O'Connor from Boston was memorable on the first day because we finished at this pontoon boat right in front of the dam, and there's like 3 steps. So Greg put his foot on one step, took a can of beer, downed the beer as he clambered up the next 2 steps and asked for another beer. It was I never saw anything as amazing in my life. And in the second one, I think what you need to understand is you wake up in the morning, and we've all been tired. Been tired from workout, tired from a long swim, but waking up on the second morning and knowing you've got another big swim is a different kind of tired. So I got in and did the canyon swim. I fondly remember going past David Barra, who's a fine swimmer, and I thought, that's good. Greg O'Connor showed up at the canyon without a swimsuit. He's quite a white, pasty character, was threatening to swim without one. All the women still remember I had a spare suit and saved them. And then for the last swim, which was Apache, it for me, it just went on and on and on forever. And I kept looking behind me, and there was the Terminator right behind me. Somebody just would not stop. It turned out to be Liz Fry. And for me, I just went from tired to tired to tired to tired to tired. For the last swim, I had been the first man on the first 3, and there was some good-natured ribbing, particularly with Barra. So I came in on that last swim, and I stopped and I yelled out, "Tell me Barra's not here." And David's voice rang out. He said, "Hi, Ned." So it's always a point of conversation.
Yeah. So to put it in context, that last swim in Roosevelt is in the dark. That's why you didn't know where it was.
I didn't know where I was. I have no idea. If they put a GPS on me, I think I probably zigzagged down that. I have no idea where I was, no idea where I was going. I just was swimming.
Got it. And Michael, on the last swim, the night swim that begins, what time did it begin in your year?
So for my wave, they started a little bit earlier this year than previous years. So my wave started at about 5:30.
Okay.
So the whole thing was not in the dark this year. The last 30 minutes or so was.
Got it. And
that's not right, Steve. I think Michael then has the Roosevelt not dark men's record. We're going to the appeal court on this.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Ned was the previous men's overall record holder, and Michael, now that we know it's a matter of controversy, is the new men's record holder. Yeah. So on these swims, can you see the finish, or is it sort of around the bend?
No, the finish is always very deceiving. The first race, I did not know that you actually had to touch the buoys. So I was, so that was for Saguaro. And my mom was kayaking next to me, and we saw the boat, and I'm like, well, I can't touch the buoys because then I get disqualified. So what do I do? And then finally we got some communication back to touch the buoys and then raise your hand.
There's a set of buoys out in front of the dam, Steve. They don't really want you doing a flip turn off the turbine intake.
Mm-hmm. And then every other event, I found that I thought I was done much sooner than I actually was done, especially for Canyon. I kind of turned that corner, turned to the right. I thought I had about a minute left, so I started sprinting. And then that minute became 5, became 10, became 15. It just kept going.
And what are the water temperatures of these 4 lakes? Ned, you first, and then Michael second. Do you remember?
12 to 19 centigrade.
Oh, wow.
And with a strong sun. The sun is just beating down on you. I have a funny story on that I had for the first swim. I froze half of my feed bottles, and I had half of them refrigerated. And my kayaker, who was also the lady giving the massages, which is a very good strategic move on my part, on the first feed, she handed me a frozen bottle of water. And we had a bit of a joke about it. And then later at Court Distance Week, it became one of the torture swim events that I would throw people out frozen bottles of water and go, oh, there you go.
And then, so that's, and you'd never know what the water temperature is that correct?
No, it doesn't matter. You're there.
Got it. Michael, what were your water temperatures of your swims this year?
So every event started off pretty cold. It started off like upper 50s. I think Apache started off at 52 actually. But then within the first 2 miles, it would warm up. And the majority of the swim was in that low to mid 60s for Fahrenheit.
Got it. Oh man, that's tough. What about wind and other conditions? Were you swimming down, effectively with the wind, against the wind, laterally?
Wind
So
always goes upstream.
What's that?
Wind always goes upstream, Steve.
Got it.
Seriously, always goes upstream.
Well, with you, now let's see Mr. Daytime over here.
Yes, I think I had very favorable conditions, especially for Apache. They had actually just released some water from the dam, from the Roosevelt Dam. And that's what made the water colder, but it also gave us a little bit of a push to start. And then the winds were definitely in our favor on that day. So mostly a tailwind. But overall, as a whole, I think the race was pretty good. I mean, Saguaro, we had a decent headwind going in. So it was a rough first day, and it stormed at the finish as well. So it got pretty chilly then.
Got it.
If I find a picture of this guy with a surfboard in Apache, I'm really going to go nuts.
Yeah. And Michael, Ned is doing these things year in, year out, and you've just jumped back into sport. Has this hooked you now?
Yes, I definitely am interested in doing some more events. I have a few more, one more thing planned this year, and then I'll probably do at least one other swim after that. And next year, I hope to do a few more and just go from there.
Got it. What brought you back to the sport?
So I was doing triathlons before this. So I'd always been swimming a little bit, not a lot, but focusing on biking and running primarily. And then we had our second child almost a year ago. So after we had him, I didn't really have time to go do those 6-hour bike rides anymore. Because for Ironman training, you have to do pretty much 6-hour bike rides once a week or so. And once I didn't have time for that, then swimming was a natural way of getting back into it. Within a couple of weeks, I met Sarah Thomas, and then she's very convincing once again. So she was really fun to work with, and she's an inspiration to me. So that definitely helped get me back in the sport.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, Steve?
Her 12-hour training sessions in the lake ever?
Pardon me?
Does Sarah ever drag you over from the pool over to the lakes where she trains and does her crazy workouts?
So her and I really started swimming together in like December. We met in the summer and we did some swimming in the summer, but we didn't actually exchange numbers until like November, December timeframe. So at this time, all the lakes have been frozen. So we'll see what happens this summer.
Got it.
But can you imagine, Steve, having your training mate when you come in after like a bunch of 200s or something, and they go, Michael, I was thinking you should swim from Florida around an island called Cuba and back.
Yes. Yeah. Something Sarah would suggest. Yeah. This is a difficult question. If there are 1, 2, or 3 words that you could pick that would describe your experience at SCAR, what would those be? And Ned, who's always quick on the gun, I'll let you go first.
Exhausting, tough, sociable.
Oh, great. And Michael, you?
I'll say fun, difficult, and that's it. Just 2.
Good.
I don't have a third.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, gentlemen, about 2 people. One, Liz Fry, who Ned, you mentioned, and then Joe Zemaitis. They did a double of everything. How is that even possible? Ned?
Look, they're both superb swimmers. It was their goal. I wasn't there the year Liz did her double or Joe. I just had this sort of funny thought in my head, which was, first of all, it's probably not very social. And second of all, the rest of us would sit around and talk about how tired we were. And we have sort of mutual support on this. Well, I'm so tired. But then you get somebody like Liz comes and sit at the table, it would ruin the entire discussion.
Yeah, yeah. Michael, did you have the opportunity to meet Joe, or were you already off to your next swim?
I did not meet Joe, unfortunately, but I did see him out there a couple of times when we took the boat down to the start. I saw him swimming, and he's very impressive. That's something that I would not want to do, is do that twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you had a mother who has her own incredible career, did she give you any words of wisdom on the on route before the swim, after the swim, or was she a swim mom and just said swim?
On the actual route itself, is that the question?
Yeah, your Gail, your mother, did she give you any particular advice along the way?
Well, I grew up around this, so there's nothing in particular about this race that she talked about, but she's given me plenty of words of wisdom throughout my career.
Yeah.
She convinced me to do some of my swims when I was pretty young, some of my open water swims. And she gave me a lot of advice back then.
Okay. What were some of those tips that she gave you, if you can recall?
Just to start off not too fast, which
Okay.
I don't really listen to that advice. I start off as fast as I can go, and then I just try to hold that pace for the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then just some advice on feedings of how to do it quickly. So we had a bottle that was attached to a rope next to the kayak. So I would just kind of grab it and I would kick while I drank for about 8 seconds, and then drop it and then go.
Okay. So, that's interesting. So your kayaker didn't toss it out. It was just always there.
No, she did. She would toss it out.
Okay.
So every 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the lake. And we were trying to actually, fine tune that, because it was my first time using feedings since 1998. So it's been quite a long time.
1998 to 2021. Now you've
Yes.
been in this race, you've been training with Sarah Thomas. Did you have intention of breaking Ned Denison's record, or what was your strategy?
I wanted to go as tough as I could. I wasn't too worried about the records for the most part. In my opinion, I do not have the record. Grace Vanderbly still has the record. I compete in the open category, not in the men's category. So hats off to Grace. She's a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are you going to do it next year?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm 50-50. I want to do a race for sure in April. So it might be the swim across Tampa Bay, or it might be SCAR. Those are the two ones that kind of occur in that same time frame. My mom was the first one, the first female to do the swim across Tampa Bay. So it'd be fun to kind of do that one, follow in her first steps a little bit.
Got it. Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Michael, does your new SCAR male record, does it now make you the big cheese in your family for open water swimming, or is your mom still saying, yeah, but I did this, this, and this?
Oh, my mom is way more impressive than I will ever be. She has an 812 English channel to her name. So
Really? 812, no GPS. Yeah.
So I cannot compete with that.
Yeah. Now you do have something your mother doesn't have, and isn't that belt buckle?
That's true. I do have a belt buckle.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do. I'll put it up here.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Ned, can you explain this? This is unbelievable.
So the belt buckle goes to the first man and the first woman to complete the 4-day events. It's one of the prized artifacts in open water swimming. So everyone's got some medals hanging at home or something on the wall, whatever. But for Americans, they might understand this. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in the United States, for the military, the best decoration you can have is the Congressional Medal of Honor. And the way it works is when you walk into a room of soldiers with a Congressional Medal of Honor and you're a private or something, the generals stand up. And everybody knows what this is. So Michael, the next time you go to one of these big swim events and you walk in wearing the SCAR belt buckle, they go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing here. It's quite a prized thing. It's very distinct. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Michael, can you hold it up again? I mean,
yeah,
it's incredible. And
it's really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So back when I was making the transition from triathlon or swimming, I wanted something that was less time consuming than Ironman. So I considered doing some ultra marathon running. I'm not really built to be a runner, but it's easier access because mountains are everywhere in Colorado. So you just go and run. And all the ultra marathon running events pretty much give you buckles if you break 24 hours. So it's something that's pretty cool. It's definitely an ultra marathon. It's kind of a ritual for some of the running events.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been really educational, inspirational. And Ned, you and I will work on that Asterix, and Michael will work on completing more and more of these events and telling us what the secrets of Sarah Thomas training.
And congratulations, Michael, on the new well-earned male record holder. You didn't just shave a few seconds off my time; you crushed it. Well done, mate.
But we had tailwinds, and it was a daytime swim for the last one, so you get all the credit.
It's the surfboard at Apache that I'm still training on.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen.
Take care. Bye.